Hey book club, what's up y'all good? I hope so. Y'all, let's get on into I think this is part 7, right? So chapters 51 through 63 of the $1 Million Destiny. Okay, so remember, Freddie was hiding out in Kia's mama's car. He thinks she has the baby and he wants her to take him to the baby so that he can get him. She is scared out of her mind. She tries to unbuckle her seatbelt, but she's so nervous she can't do it. So Freddie presses the grip into her temple and tells her to calm down before he takes her out right then and there. He doesn't want to, but he will if he feels like he needs to. All he wants is his baby. And then he gets out of the back seat, walks around to the front, and tells her to drive. They ended up in an alley within an area like where some abandoned apartments were. Freddie tells the woman to have the 2 cop cars that are sitting in front of her house called off because he knows that after he took her daughter out, with her being next of kin, the police would have left the baby with her. Kia's mother lunged at Freddie, trying to scratch his eyes out, but he put that barrel to her forehead and told her she know he doesn't have a problem eliminating people. He then goes through her purse, takes her cell phone, and tries to give it to her to make the call, but she wouldn't take it. She kept telling him no. He tried to put the phone in her hand. She let it drop to the floor. Freddie was losing patience, so he tells her, get out the effing car. When they get out, Freddie has the grip to the back of her head, and he's constantly telling her to make that call so that he can get his baby. She tells him the baby isn't there, and he doesn't believe her, so he turns her around to face him so he can look her eye to eye. He was like, that's BS. They would have given you my son. She told him that the police had a feeling that Freddie would come back, and that was why the police were still at the house. So she told the police to take the baby into custody until they were able to find Freddie and arrest him. Freddie wasn't understanding any of that, so he pulled out a phone that he stole from somebody and tells her to call the police and tell the police to bring the baby to where they were. And she kept trying to explain to him that the police were not going to give her that baby until he was arrested. She said there was nothing she could do. Freddie closed his eyes because he kept hearing and seeing Kia's face begging him not to do what she knew he was about to. And when he opened his eyes, he looked at that lady, stared her into her eyes, and asked her, then why the F do I need you? And then he took her out. He got in her SUV, drove off, and while he was looking in the rearview mirror, all he saw were her legs sticking out from behind the dumpster. But in Freddie's crazy mind, it gave him solace to know that Kia wouldn't be alone in heaven. And like I said, crazy cuckoo bird, Freddie has lost it. Now, over at the accident, Daphne had limped back to the car to find her cell phone so that she could call the only person she felt like she could trust. And a little while after that, Trevor took his last breath. Then the police and EMS, they arrived. They took Daphne's statement, gave her some stitches on her forehead, and insisted that she went to the hospital, but she told them that she was okay and just needed to get home. A few minutes later, an Uber pulled up with Tori in the back seat. She got out, went over to Daphne, and Daphne told her everything that had happened. They got in the car, and Daphne was shaking so bad that Tori put her arm around her and pulled her in close, and they was just rocking back and forth, and she patted her gently on her arm. She told Daphne that she was sorry about what happened with Trevor and to Trevor. She asked Daphne if she felt like she needed to go to the hospital. Daphne said no, all she wanted to do was get home to her son. They make it to Trevor's house, and Jennifer was in the kitchen. She thought it was Trevor walking in until she walked out and saw Daphne and Tori. She gasped when she saw Daphne with stitches, hair all over her head, eyes swelling, dry blood on her. She tells Jennifer to give her her baby. Jennifer stepped back and reminded Daphne that she couldn't touch that baby unless her and Trevor said it was okay. And at that moment, Daphne snapped. She screamed and told Jennifer to give her the baby. And she could feel herself losing control. She felt like she was going crazy. She took the baby from Jennifer and passed him to Tori. While all of this was happening, Jennifer kept asking where was Trevor. Daphne tells her that was the last time she would ever hold her baby. She kept circling Jennifer, looking her up and down as her body filled with rage. Jennifer was constantly asking where was Trevor. Daphne tells her to get her shit and get out. Jennifer was trying to ignore her, and she insisted on knowing where was Trevor. And Daphne calmly said that you're dead Jennifer couldn't believe what she was hearing. She wanted to know how, and Daphne told her they were in an accident. She said, "He's gone and you're homeless. Now get the F out of this house." Jennifer said she wasn't going anywhere because she didn't believe Daphne. Tori looked over at Jennifer while casually playing with the baby, and she told her, "Girl, if I were you, I'd get out of this house." Jennifer slowly moved away from the fridge where Daphne had her cornered. Daphne was like, "Hold up. You owe me an apology for how you've been treating me." Jennifer said she didn't know what was going on or where Trevor was, and before she could finish her sentence, Daphne came across Jennifer's face with an open hand that had enough force to spin her in half a circle, and she screamed, "I said you owe me an apology." It seemed like Jennifer was trying to apologize, but Daphne caught her 2 more times before Jennifer started running for the door. Daphne picked up a can of formula and threw it at Jennifer, but it hit the side of the door frame instead. Daphne was breathing hard. She's still enraged, and she reached out for her baby. And Tori wanted to know, "You sure you calm enough to get this baby?" And Daphne jokingly, but with a mean face, told Tori, "Girl, if you don't give me my baby, I'll throw a can at you." Now, Monica and Tabitha were watching TV and talking about Monica's insane plan. But then the doorbell rang and neither one of them were expecting anyone. Tabitha went to the door, came back and told Monica that it was her husband, and if she was going to talk to him, she'd have to step outside because she didn't want Nate in her house. When Monica stepped out, Nate pulled her into a tight hug. When he let her go, she asked him if everything was okay. He said that it was, but he wasn't making eye contact with her. She then told him he can't just be popping up at Tabitha's house because he knew how she felt about him. And Nate let her know that he didn't give a damn how she felt, how her friends felt about him or them. He said that he can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. Even though they have the family they always wanted, he loves her and he's doing everything to prove that he's committed to her, something just doesn't feel right. In Monica's head, she says, "Let's start by you sleeping with Tori." But out loud, she told Nate that she didn't understand what he was saying. He told her that he feels like there is distance between them. He feels it when he tries to talk to her, when they're together romantically, even how she acted after dinner the other night. Nate wants Monica to simply say that she married him because she loves him. And Monica said she did. But Nate doesn't think Monica is as certain about that as she thinks she is. And he let her know if she did, she wouldn't have left him or little Nathaniel. Monica says, "You know I'm here until Freddie is found." Nate says, yeah, keep telling yourself that. He says he know that he's done some horrible things, but he's a better man now. And since it seems like nothing he's doing is working, they can work out custody arrangements with little Nathaniel. He'll have his attorney draw up divorce papers. Then he walked off. Monica felt weak in the knees and sick at the stomach. She called out to Nate, but he kept walking, and by the time he reached the elevator, she said that she didn't have to think about it because she didn't want to lose her family. He nodded at her and then got on the elevator. When she opened the door to go back in, Tabitha was standing there and sarcastically says, "Way to stay strong, Monica." Monica just looked at her and said, "Girl, whatever." She then went in the bedroom and called Tori. She wanted to know what happened after Tori and Nate left the restaurant. Tori said they didn't get it in, but she did get on bended knee. Tori said that Nate seemed to enjoy it. Monica closed her eyes tight to shut out the image, and she was trying to figure out why was she so upset about that when she was the one who set it all up. Then she told Tori that tomorrow she'll need to make sure that Nate went all the way, and she'll send some cameras over because she'll need video footage. Tori really wasn't here for it, and Monica had to remind her that she was paying her. And Tori cleared that up real quick by letting Monica know that she's only been doing a lot of talking about paying her, but she hasn't given her anything yet. Monica told her if she was able to get Nate on tape, that she would give her half of the $1 million. She asked Tori if that was cool. Tori said that would work just fine. Monica said okay, and that she'll send Louis over the next morning with the cameras. And then she tells Tori, "Seeing that you have done this before, I'm sure you don't need any instructions on how to get the footage." Freddie has made it to Nate's neighborhood, and he parked a few houses down. He was ready to finish Nate. He got out, walked through a few yards until he made it a couple of houses down from Nate's. But as he looked closer under the street lights, he could see someone walk across the lawn, and as he looked even closer, he could see that Nate now had security. There were 2 men in the front and no telling how many were in the back. Freddie tried to run a scenario in his mind of how he could take out the 2 men and make his way in, but he knew that would never happen with that injured leg. So he headed back to the SUV thinking that he would have to find Nate when he's out and about. Tori got up to get her day started, but she was starving. Unfortunately, she didn't have any groceries, and while she was staring at the empty fridge and cabinets, her doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone, but she was happy to see that it was Louis, and he had groceries. She said, "I thought you told me to call you if I needed something." Louis stared back and jokingly said, "Do you have a married man up in here?" She said, "I could have, so don't be popping up on a sister like that." Louis said he thought Monica told her that he would be stopping by, but since it sounded like she didn't, he'll just bring the groceries back later. And Tori said, "Man, if you don't bring that food in here and I'm starving." So while Louis was putting up the groceries, he was telling her about Freddie, and he told her about Kia keeping the baby and choosing not to tell Freddie about him, but they both knew if he found out that it would be fatal. And it was. He said losing his girlfriend and Kia being gone, he just woke up that morning with a heavy heart. And he was used to taking Kia some bagels and coffee. And now that she's gone, he felt like it was so routine that he ended up picking up groceries for Tori. Tori gave her condolences and told Louis that he could bring her groceries anytime. Louis finished putting everything away and he was getting ready to leave, but Tori reminded him that he was forgetting the video equipment that Monica told him to drop off. He ran out to the truck to get them and then set up all 4 cameras, 2 in the front and 2 in the bedroom. She told Louis that she doesn't even know why she agreed to it because she doesn't plan on doing anything. She said that she is in desperate need of money, but she just doesn't want to force herself on Nate or take advantage of him. Then she told Louis that she had been lying to Monica about her and Nate doing some things. She said that it really seemed like Nate had changed. Louis was like, "That's all good and all, but if you don't do it, you're not going to get your money." Tori said even if she had to stage it, she was going to get her money. Louis said maybe if Tori just told Monica the truth, she'd probably still give her the money. Tori knew that would never happen. And then her face lit up and Louis wanted to know what was she thinking. She said maybe Nate will. Louis wanted to make sure he understood her correctly, and he asked her if she was saying she was going to tell Nate about Monica's plan. She said once Nate promises to give her the money back that he stole from her, she would then tell him about the plan. Louis told her that she was crazy. He was really concerned because he know how Nate operates. He told her that she didn't know if Nate will pop off on her, snap, or throw her over that balcony. Tori thought about all of that, and then she said, "I guess I'll find out tonight." Monica couldn't stop thinking about what Nate had said to her the other night at Tabitha's place. So she knew the only person who would know if Nate had anything going on would be Tim. So she called him twice, but he didn't answer. So she decided to go to his house first thing in the morning, and that she did. Tim was surprised to see her. He invited her in, but she told him that she wouldn't be long. She just had a few things to ask him, and with the look on her face, he knew it must have had something to do with Nate. She asked him if Nate was seeing anybody, and Tim let her know that he really think his brother has changed for the better this time. He said that Nate really loved her. Then Monica asked him, well, if that's the case, why is he seeing Tori? Tim wanted to know how Monica knew, and she said that was besides the point. All she knew is that Nate kept going on and on about being this changed man, but he was messing around with Tori. Tim said the only reason Nate was talking to Tori was because he bumped into her at the gym and he felt guilty about everything he'd done to her, and he saw it as an opportunity to make amends. Tim said that Nate did tell him that Tori kept trying to come on to him, but he wouldn't allow it. Monica stared at him, trying to read whether he was telling the truth or not. Monica thought about the picture she took of Nate and Tori, and she knew that wasn't enough proof. It was only Tori's word, and since she was so desperate for money, she didn't put it past Tori to lie to get the money. Before leaving, Monica asked him again if he was sure that Nate wasn't messing around on her, and he told her if he was, Nate would have told him just like he tells him everything else. But this time she was wrong about his brother because Nate had really changed. Monica felt a little relief, but she was going to wait and see if Tori produced that video, and that would be all the confirmation she needed. Over there with Daphne, she got a call from a man by the name of Mr. Longmire, who said that he was the executor over Trevor's will, and he wanted to know if Daphne would be able to come in so that they could go over it. Daphne didn't even know that Trevor had a will. When she got to his office, they got straight down to business, and she learned that there was information in the will pertaining to both her and the baby. Daphne was shocked. She was kind of nervous and zoned out for a minute, but then she heard the man say that all of Trevor's worldly possessions, including all monies associated with his holdings and sales of possessions, would go to his son Nathaniel. Daphne wasn't surprised by that. She wasn't expecting Trevor to leave her anything. She was just waiting for the man to let her know the day Trevor wanted her to move out. Mr. Longmire kept reading, and then she heard him say, "But till the day of the baby's 21st birthday, the control of all the assets, holdings, and monies would be under the control of Daphne." He granted her the legal rights and custody of the baby as well. Daphne sat up in the chair and asked Mr. Longmire if that meant that she could adopt her son. He said if that's what she wanted, and if she did, they could start that paperwork right then. She asked him about the house, and Mr. Longmire said, well, as stated in the will, you will be required to leave in 21 years, and that was only if her son no longer wished to live there. Daphne put her face in her hands and started crying. Mr. Longmire walked around and asked her if she was okay. She stood, patted her cheeks, and said that she was just so happy and she needed to hug somebody. And she asked him if he would mind if she hugged him. He said, well, no, that's fine. And he gave her one of those big, comforting grandpa hugs. Okay, so now it's the night of Tori's date with Nate. And this is the day where Monica told Tori she better get the evidence or she could forget about the money. So Tori decided to put on a sheer satin teddy because in her mind it was all or nothing. Nate arrived at 9, and when she opened the door, he was surprised to see what she was wearing. Tori let him in and she held her arms open for a hug, and Nate gave her a church hug with 3 little pats on the back. Tori noticed that Nate wasn't taking off his jacket and he wasn't trying to sit down. He was just standing in the middle of the room like he was just there for business, and he was going to leave right after that. And Tori couldn't afford to let that happen. So Tori took off her robe saying that she was hot. Nate told her that she should keep it on. Tori ignored him and took it off anyway, and then she told him that he was making her feel like she didn't have on nothing, so he should take his jacket off too. She went and fixed them something to drink. Nate said he really wasn't there for that, but Tori insisted that they both toast again to bumping into each other at the gym. Nate took a sip and tried to get on with his reason for being there. Tori told him to hold that thought while she took the glasses back to the kitchen. While she was in there, she knew that she was letting her opportunity pass her by, and she needed to go on to plan B. So she took off her teddy and walked back into the living room. Nate had his head down. She called his name, and when he looked up, he didn't even get a chance to fully comprehend what he was seeing when Tori threw herself at him trying to kiss him. Nate was turning his face away left and right. The kisses were landing everywhere but on his lips. He was finally able to restrain her, and he asked her what in the world was she doing. Now Tori was embarrassed and she had to think quick on her feet. She told him that she didn't know what she was doing. She said that she was still attracted to him, and since he'd been so nice to her, she wanted to repay him. Nate said if anybody should be doing any repaying, it was him. He realized she was still standing there in her birthday suit, so he passed her his jacket and told her to put it on, and for her to let him get out the reason he was there. Tori was really feeling bad now, and she told him that there was something she really needed to tell him, but he told her that she could say whatever she wanted to say after he said what he had to say. He said, I've been trying to talk ever since I got here and you keep cutting me off. So Tori insisted again, but Nate wouldn't let her. So he told her that it has been hard trying to convince and prove to his wife that he was a changed man. And it dawned on him that while he was spending so much time to fix things with Monica, he could have been trying to fix the damage he's caused in Tori's life. He'd taken care of some of it, but he knew that there was more he could do. So he told Tori to reach inside of his jacket pocket. She did, and she pulled out a piece of paper that looked like a check. She asked Nate what was it, and he told her to open it and see. And when she did, it was a check made out to her in the sum of $2 million. Tori couldn't believe what she was looking at. She didn't even think it was real until Nate said, considering what she went through because of him, that was nothing. Tori ran over, kissed him while saying thank you, thank you, thank you. He asked her if he was forgiven, and she was like, forgiven? Yes, you're forgiven right now, today, this minute. Nate was like, well, okay, I guess I'll get out of here now. But Tori wanted them to toast one more time to celebrate this. She told him there would be no funny business and she'll come back with clothes on. Nate said okay, but after the drink, he'd have to head out. While Tori was in the kitchen, Nate felt his phone vibrating. He asked Tori if he could use the restroom. She told him where to find it. He went in, locked the door, and then turned on the vent to sort of mute his conversation. Then he whispered in the phone and asked Abby Kurtz if everything was okay. She said that everything was fine, but the reason for her call was to let him know that she found the information that he was looking for, and she wanted to know if he would like her to tell him now or schedule a meeting. Nate was unsure if he really wanted to know what Abby found out, because on one hand it may dispel his reality, and on the other it may destroy the future he'd been hoping for. But he just couldn't shake that feeling that he had from the day that he bumped into Tori at the gym. On the day that he bumped into Tori and they walked out together, he was happy that Tori wasn't holding a grudge against him, and that made him feel good about making up for, taking her money away. But as he was walking to his car, he dropped his keys, and when he bent down to pick them up and he looked out toward the street, he saw a car that he thought he recognized. And on his ride home, he tried to make himself believe that it was just a coincidence that two of the women he had an affair with were in the same place at the same time. So later on that night, Nate was having dinner with Monica. She noticed that he was staring at her, and she asked him if he was okay. He said that he was, but that suspicion wouldn't leave his mind, and that maybe Monica had something to do with the chance encounter he had with Tori, and Tori being with Daphne. So later on that night when they were in bed, he tried to force himself to sleep, but the thoughts wouldn't let him rest. So he got up and made a call to Abby and asked her to run a check on Tori and Daphne to see what they were up to and if they were up to it together, and to do a light check on his wife as well. Now Nate was standing in Tori's bathroom staring at himself in the mirror, trying to decide if he really wanted to hear what Abby had to say. He could easily tell Abby to not worry about it, and if the three women were conspiring against him, he would just have to deal with it. Just weather the storm and forgive Monica for what she planned. At least he'll still have his wife and their family, but that wasn't Nate. He had always been a suspicious man. Abby noticed that he wasn't saying anything, so she asked him again if he wanted the information. Nate exhaled and told Abby to give it to him. So Abby told Nate about Trevor's unfortunate accident, Daphne getting custody of the baby. She said that she couldn't find any interaction between Daphne and Monica, but Monica brought Tori from LA and that Tori was broke, and that confirmed to Nate that Monica was up to something. And he was now understanding why Tori kept trying to throw herself at him. But he didn't understand why Monica would do that after she said she loved him and wanted their family to work. And that was until Abby went on with her information and let Nate know that Monica was working with an attorney to divorce Nate and to get full custody of little Nathaniel. When Nate heard the last part, he had to make sure he heard her correctly, so he asked Abby, "What did you say?" And at that point, Nate was squeezing that phone so tight he could have crushed it. He was breathing hard, sweating. Abby told him that she had all the paperwork right in front of her. At that moment, Nate heard Tori outside the door asking him if he fell in the toilet or something. Nate told Abby to have everything she found out ready for him in the morning, and then he hung up. Nate unlocked that door, snatched it open, and pinned Tori against the wall. Tori could barely breathe. He wanted to know what was Monica up to. He asked Tori if Monica was trying to take his son. Tori was trying to answer, but she couldn't breathe. She was trying her best to get free, but she was starting to lose consciousness. Nate felt like he could take her life right then and there for aiding Monica in trying to take his son. But the only thing that saved her was the fact that Nate knew that she wasn't the mastermind behind the whole thing, just an accomplice. And at that moment, he released her and she fell to the floor, gasping for air. She was crying, and she told him that she tried to tell him. Nate bent down and lifted her face to his and asked, "So that's what you were trying to tell me before I gave you that check?" Tori was still crying, trembling, trying to breathe, and she said yes. Nate told her that he knew that it was his fault that she agreed to do it because he took everything away from her. He told her to keep the money, but he never wanted to see her face again, and then he left. Lewis was leaving from visiting Layla over at Tim's, and as he was getting in his truck, his phone started to ring. He smiled when he saw that it was Tori. He answered it, but his smile quickly went away when he heard her crying. He started panicking and asked her if she was okay, if she was hurt. When he was over her house earlier that day and she told him about her plan to tell Nate about what Monica had been working on, he was hoping that she really wasn't going to do it, but by the sound of it, she did. So he asked her again if she was okay, and she finally told him no, and she asked him to come over. Now, after leaving Tori's place, Nate rushed home because he was scared Monica had taken his son. When he walked in, he asked the guard if little Nate was upstairs, and he told him that he was. He took the stairs two at a time, and while heading up there, he was telling himself that Monica was far from the master manipulator that he was. But now that he knows what she's been planning, he wouldn't put it past her to be conniving enough to have swiped his son right from under his nose. When he opened the door to his son's room, his heart sank because he wasn't there. He saw that his window was open. He rushed over, looking out the window, yelling out for him. He called his name several times. He couldn't believe that he'd allowed his son to be taken. And then he heard a small voice asking what was wrong. When he turned around, little Nathaniel was standing in the doorway holding his favorite stuffed animal. Nate jumped across the bed and pulled the little boy into his arms. And he told him, "It's fine. Everything's okay. It's fine now." He just didn't know where he was. Now, over at Tori's house, she told Lewis everything that had happened. When he first got there, she was hysterical, but she calmed down a lot, and Lewis knew that it was probably because she done downed about 3/4 of that jack. She was sitting in one of the kitchen chairs with her knees pulled into her chest. She apologized for pulling Lewis into her situation. She said she just didn't feel safe being there by herself. Lewis told her that it was okay. She asked him if he thought Nate would go after Monica, but before he could answer her, the phone rang, and it was Monica. She told Lewis that's Monica's third time calling today. She asked Lewis, "What should I say?" And he threw his hands up because he didn't know what to say, no more than she did. He just told her that she was going to have to tell her something. She finally answered it, and Monica wanted to know what took her so long to answer. She called 3 times already. She wanted to know what was Tori doing, and she asked her if she held up her end of the bargain. Tori lied and said that her and Nate did sleep together and that he just left. Monica said that she wasn't sure if she believed Tori. She said it sounded like Tori had been doing more drinking than effing. Tori wasn't in the mood, so she told Monica that she'll have to talk to her tomorrow. Monica told her to hold up because she had some questions and she needed Tori to be honest. Tori felt like Monica may have known what was up. She put her hand over the receiver and mouthed to Lewis that she think Monica knows. So Monica asked her if she had really been sleeping with Nate. Tori said yes. Then Monica says, "If you want to get paid, I need for you to be completely honest with me, Tori, because I don't think you all have slept together." Tori wanted to know how did Monica know that, and she asked her if Nate told her. She said no, Tim told her, but she needs Tori to confirm it. So Tori says, "And if I do, you're still going to give me the money?" Monica lied and said of course because that's what they agreed on. Tori wasn't answering, so Monica said she's only going to ask her one more time, and Tori couldn't take it anymore. She said, "No, I haven't slept with your husband." Monica was quiet for a minute, and then she said, "You lied to me?" Tori told her that her and Nate never slept together. She never gave him oral. They barely kissed. She said, "I tried to tell you over and over that he said he was a changed man, that he loved you and the family that you all were making together, but you didn't want to believe me, and you didn't want to believe him. You said if I wanted to get paid, then I would have to make it happen." Well, guess what, Monica? It didn't happen, and he didn't want it to happen because he wants you. All he did was talking about being devoted to you. And if you weren't so hell-bent on taking his son and actually listened to him, maybe you would have believed him. After a minute, Monica says, "Well, I know I don't have to tell you that you'll never see that money." Tori said, "Yeah, I know. and she decided not to tell Monica about the money Nate had already given her, or that Nate knew about the plan, because Tori knew that Monica was probably thinking she could call the whole thing off and go to Nate like nothing ever happened. Knowing Nate, he was probably already thinking of a way to ruin Monica's life. So Monica tells Tori, enjoy your life on the street, bitch, because that's where you're headed. Tori hung up and didn't even respond. Louis told her, look, you did good. But Tori said there was nothing good about any of it. He walked over and rubbed her on the back, and Tori, she was so stressed, she just needed a release. So she stood up, gently kissed Louis on the lips. He pulled back and asked her what was she doing. She said she didn't want to think about any of that anymore. She just needed to let it all go. Louis asked her if she was sure. She said she was more than sure. So he scooped her up and they made their way to the bedroom. Now, Tim was dozing off in front of the TV until he heard the doorbell ring. When he opened the door, he saw Nate, but the next thing he knew, Nate had snatched him out of the house and pinned him to the wall, talking about, did you know what she was doing? Tim was so confused. He says, what? Who? What who was doing? Nate was talking through his clenched teeth while his body trembled from anger. He told Tim not to play with him because he know Monica talks to him. She confides in him. He told Tim that Monica was trying to take Nathaniel from him. Tim was looking as shocked as Nate. And he told him that Monica never told him anything like that. And that he asked her if she was really back because she loved you. And she said that she was. She was back to be with you and my nephew. Nate stared him in the eyes, and he could tell that he wasn't lying. So he slowly released his grip from him and turned away. Tim apologized for what Nate was going through. Nate said that he really wanted to be a good man for Monica. Tim told him that he was. He was really putting in that work to show Monica that he was a different person. But Nate said that Monica refused to see it. And she had the nerve to try and take the one thing that mattered the most to him. When he turned back around to face Tim, Tim saw Nate wiping a tear from his eye. And then Nate told him that his son was in the car sleeping, but he was going to bring him in. He wanted Tim to keep him there. And he ordered him not to tell Monica anything. And the vengeance that Nate had in his eyes let Tim know whatever Nate was about to do, it was not going to be good. And before he walked off to get his son, he said it again. I'm going to leave him here with you. You keep him safe and you don't say, oh, mother word to Monica. Okay? Baby, listen, I'm scared. I don't know what Nate is about to do, and we know how trifling and evil Nate can be. So, Monica, girl, you in trouble. I don't know what to tell you, but you in trouble. Y'all get down in the comments. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later.